Today, we are learning new details about the woman accused of killing her father and 6-year-old daughter in Florida.
And once again, your dad's missing and your 6-year-old daughter's missing. You said, not yet. I talked to one of my family members and he's doing okay up there. I thought he didn't go. I thought no one knew where he was. But you don't remember that day you dropped your daughter off? Did your dad get mad at you and come at you?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you do in return?
I hit him.
With what?
My hand, I punched him.
And then what?
He got pissed at me and I was on the floor and I don't remember.
And then you killed him.
Cheyanne Jessie. To the world, she was just a mom, smiling, caring, and ordinary. But behind that smile, something dark was hiding. Meredith, her 6-year-old daughter, was full of laughter and life. Then one day, her laughter vanished. Mark Weekly, Cheyanne's father and Meredith's beloved grandfather, also had vanished. No screams, no struggle, just silence, the kind that warns something's very wrong. When police arrived at Cheyanne's home, everything looked normal. But as the investigation moved forward, a chilling truth began to surface, and no one was ready for what they would uncover. In Chapter 3 of the Grim Chapters, we will examine the horrific case of Meredith Jessie and Mark Weekly. August 1st, 2015, Lakeland, Florida. The heat was suffocating, the kind that made the air feel heavy. Everything moved slowly, almost sluggish. That afternoon, the Polk County 911 dispatcher got a call. On the other side was 25-year-old Cheyanne. Her voice was calm, maybe a little too quiet. "My daughter Meredith Jessie and my father Mark Weekly, they're both missing," Cheyanne said. Minutes later, sheriff's deputies arrived at her house. It was very hot outside, but something felt off inside. Cheyanne sat on the couch, her hands folded. Her face was blank. No tears, no urgency, not even a trace of fear. She told them Meredith and Mark had left together. No goodbye, no phone call, no warning, just gone. Police officers had heard many stories about missing persons. Some people come in crying, others are confused, some are holding it barely together. But this one was different. Cheyanne's voice was flat, controlled, almost rehearsed. Her eyes said something her words didn't. She didn't report them missing right away, and said she didn't want to overreact. It had been days. One officer noticed she was speaking about her daughter and father in the past tense, and she didn't realize it. That alone sent up red flags. Maybe her dad had taken Meredith on a last-minute trip, she said, to clear his head, or just get away. But anyone who knew Mark would tell you he'd never do something like that. He was consistent, routine, predictable, and go to church every Sunday, calls to family, always present, always steady. And Meredith? She was just 6 years old. No car, no voice, no power. A child doesn't just disappear, not like that. Cheyanne claimed she was worried, but her voice told a different story. No panic, no fear, just distance and silence. And in that silence, detectives heard something else, something darker, something that didn't feel right. Cheyanne informed officers that her father had taken Meredith for a few days. No explanation, no arguments. They were just gone, without a word, without a reason. They were close. Her dad loved Meredith, and maybe he was taking some time. She told herself he just needed a break, maybe a quiet weekend with his granddaughter. The officers weren't sure. Something didn't add up. Cheyanne said they moved out on July 18th, but that was over a week ago. Why wait for so long to report them missing? Why the delay? She just shrugged and said she didn't know, as if they'd come back when they were ready. Relatives first alerted police. None had heard from Mark or Meredith in a few days. Mark never fell off the face of the earth. Mark was steady, routine, and always reachable. If he didn't call, she felt that something had gone wrong. Then, out of nowhere, came the text messages. "We're okay. Don't worry about us. But something felt off. The tone was cold, robotic. Nothing like Mark, no details, no warmth. That was not how Mark usually wrote. Cheyanne's story started to change. First, she said they went on a weekend trip. Then, she claimed they were visiting friends. Later, she didn't know at all. And then came the smell. Neighbors had noticed a putrid, rotting odor coming from her yard. Some thought it was just a dead animal. Others called it the smell of death. The police took notice. This was no longer just a missing person case, it was turning into something much worse. That day the air felt heavier than usual, as if the entire street was holding its breath. Officers had served a search warrant at Cheyanne's house. Her calm attitude had always bothered them, but now her story was full of holes, and the neighbors' complaints about a strange smell finally pushed them to spend more time on the case. Officers slowly opened the front door and stepped inside. The strangest thing? Everything looked normal inside. But the deeper they walked into the house, the heavier it all began to feel, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Then they saw it. What they found in the locked shed out back that's when everything truly unraveled. The officers walked up to the small, quiet, almost too calm shed. Their flashlights moved across the door. Then slowly, they forced it open. A wave of stench hit them like a wall. Not just death, it was decay. The shed was packed with plastic bins, coolers, and boxes sealed shut with layers of tape. The officers braced themselves for what they were about to witness. They opened the containers, and what they found was worse than anyone had imagined. 2 human bodies, already badly decomposed. 6-year-old Meredith Jessie and 50-year-old Mark Weekly. Both had been deceased for over a week. The medical examiner has since confirmed this. They were shot, cut into pieces and crammed into plastic bins with dryer sheets and air fresheners. As if air fresheners could mask the stench of truth, police stepped back in horror. It just became much more than a missing persons case. It was murder, cold-blooded and calculated. And the one who reported them missing? The same person who said they were just on vacation. Cheyanne was now the prime suspect. It started with a simple missing persons report. No one knew it would end with the discovery of a brutal double murder. But one question remained. Why? The deeper they looked into Cheyanne's life, the more disturbing it became, especially after learning about her fight with her father and the growing tension with her daughter. One of control, of anger, of a woman unraveling. And so, the search for the whole truth continued. They weren't done yet. Cheyanne sat across from the detectives, arms crossed, eyes cold.
You still know about Georgia yet?
When I come home, my fiance goes, "Hey, baby, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Sorry about what?" Then I see him down on the phone where it was the 20th. He texted going to Georgia, and I was like, "Okay, here."
He texted him on the 20th?
Yeah.
He didn't tell you that?
Sometimes when we go to work, he's only like sleeping.
What about when you pick him up?
We normally don't really talk that much.
Was there anything else your dad said that what he said he had a year later or something?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, and I go to try to call him, and like, his phone's turned off.
Wednesday you find out that your dad says he's going to Georgia, he has a year later. Did he say he's taking your baby?
Yeah, mostly family is what he said.
But we know on the 20th and Tuesday the 21st, you drove by there and the cars were there.
His girlfriend texted me and said that he rented a car Monday, and I'm thinking, well, but I haven't seen the text on her phone, and I don't even know if she's telling the truth. I don't know. She's the last person that's seen my dad. Like, she said that he came over to the house crying about me wanting to sign my rights away.
That's what you talking on the phone?
Yeah, we go down there to get the stuff, bring up to the house and everything.
At first, she denied everything. She insisted she was being set up, which makes sense since the shed house was also being used by someone else. But the evidence was too specific, too precise, too damning. Local store receipts sealed her fate. Cheyanne had purchased plastic storage bins, gloves, duct tape, and bleach just days before Meredith and Mark went missing. Her Google history revealed something far worse. How long does it take for a dead body to decompose? Does bleach destroy DNA? Would you be charged if you shot someone in your home? Still, She held firm. Then they began displaying her pictures from the scene. The coolers, the air fresheners, the broken padlock. She went quiet, and then she spoke. Her voice turned soft, almost whispering. Cheyanne claimed her father had grown increasingly frustrated. He once vowed he'd keep Meredith safe by any means necessary, because, in his eyes, Cheyanne was mentally unfit to raise a child. Cheyanne said it was the night of July 18th. She claimed that Mark had attacked her while arguing over Meredith. She then grabbed a gun under a sofa and shot Mark in the chest. Meredith witnessed it, confused, crying, and terrified. Cheyanne said she panicked. She couldn't risk losing everything, so she did the unthinkable. She then fatally shot her daughter, a little girl who loved her deeply, now gone. 2 bodies, 1 terrible secret, and now the cleanup to dismember the bodies. She kept the remains in plastic bins, wrapped in scented trash bags, in an attempt to mask the smell. She confessed without a tear. No tears, no mercy, no regret, just exhaustion. Like the weight of the lie had finally broken her, like the lie had come to an end.
You know how to de-arm someone with a knife and them not be able to cut you.
Yes,
You
you
don't,
do.
you don't watch karate movies and all of a sudden become a karate expert. I'm not saying you didn't attack you. I'm not saying you didn't defend yourself. I'm saying he didn't push you on the ground and you didn't do any karate moves to take it away from him. There's no way you fell in the middle of the floor because there's a coffee table there. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, if he's sitting on you, you can't kick him. Then you said he had a knife. If he's, so if he's punching you on both sides of the head, what's the knife for?
He was like this, and he goes around this, and just like
No.
Like,
If you're gonna punch in the head, how do you know what he did? You got too many details. Meredith didn't do anything to you, and he didn't stab her. You don't have any tears in you. Just because it's so loud.
There was no turning back now, only silence and the truth. She had done it. Cheyanne Jessie killed her daughter and father. But why? During questioning, she summed it up with a straightforward word: scared. She claimed that she feared losing custody of Meredith and was terrified of being alone. In court, she cast herself as a panicked mother who had been driven to the edge by an overbearing father who threatened her sanity. She told police that Mark had wanted full custody of Meredith and was trying to take her away. She said she lost everything, but she never admitted that she was the one who took it all away. But psychologists saw something darker. Cheyanne wasn't terrified. She was dominating, manipulative, possibly narcissistic. Psychologists reviewing the case said it bore the hallmarks of classic narcissistic personality disorder: grandiosity, a craving for power, and a lack of empathy. Some even suggested traits of antisocial personality disorder, marked by impulsivity and disregard for the rights or feelings of others. The calmness she showed during the interrogation was eerie, with no tears and no visible signs of regret. She spoke about the brutal murders of her child and father as if telling someone else's story, cold and detached in her confession. She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She just told the story as if it didn't even belong to her. What she did next wasn't impulsive. It was carefully planned. Air fresheners, trash bags, plastic storage bins, a grocery list for hiding a nightmare. She even went online, researching how to hide decomposition and remove evidence. And this was no crime of passion. It was methodical, calculated, controlled. On the surface, Cheyanne Jessie seemed like a college student and young mother struggling to get by. Just another struggling young woman trying to make ends meet, or so it seemed. But behind the mask was a disturbed woman, so desperate for control that she would destroy her own family rather than let them go. No signs of remorse, no funeral arrangements, nothing but lies, smoothly told until the truth finally came crashing down. In the end, psychologists couldn't agree on a single explanation. But one thing was clear: Cheyanne lost control, and she hated that. In the end, she didn't just kill her family, she tried to erase them. Cheyanne was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder of her father, Mark Weekly, and her 6-year-old daughter, Meredith Jessie. During the trial, the prosecution argued she was not the work of a crazy woman. It was a carefully planned crime. They presented clear evidence of premeditation, including fake texts she sent to make it seem like Meredith was safe at home from school, as well as the cleaning supplies and storage tubs she had purchased in advance. They said she acted as if her daughter had never existed, and that her calm demeanor was just an act, cold and unemotional. Someone was putting on a show, not a grieving mother broken by loss. The defense, meanwhile, argued that Cheyanne had a mental illness, possibly amid a psychotic break. They described her as overwhelmed, panicked, and out of control. But the jury was not convinced. The planning, the cover-up, the lies, everything pointed to cold, deliberate intent. In 2021, 6 years after the murders, the jury found Cheyanne Jessie guilty on both counts and sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole. No final outburst, no tearful apology, just silence. She stood and accepted her sentence with the same creepy detachment she had shown throughout the investigation, the same coldness with which she destroyed the two people who had loved her most. As we wrap up Chapter 3, a little girl who trusted her mother even in her final breath, a grandfather who tried to save his granddaughter and died doing so. Cheyanne killed them both, her father, her child. And then, as if they meant nothing, she buried them. The man who had raised her, and the little girl who had once called her mom. But this was more than just a murder case. It was betrayal. Raw, cold, and unforgettable. In a quiet Florida suburb, a family vanished into darkness. And sometimes the greatest betrayal comes from those we love most. Thank you for watching this episode. Please share your thoughts about this heartbreaking case in the comments below. If you are new to the channel and like this kind of content, please subscribe for more true crime stories. Your support is greatly appreciated. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next chapter.